Good morning. How is everybody this morning? Oh my goodness. Hope everybody's having a beautiful morning. Okay, so we're going to start right in. Egyptian Gods Oracle. Mertziger, righteousness. Her name means she who loves silence. More often depicted as a snake with a woman's head, it is a presence that watches silently and punishes evildoers with poison. Divinity of terrible nature, but merciful in her devotees. She punishes sacrilege and those who break an oath, but is equally generous and forgiving to those who are sincerely repentant. She symbolizes authority and intelligence, key words for a full and peaceful life. Mertziger puts you on your guard against a few people you do not know well, who might bring cruelty, malice, deceit, and conflict. Scrutinize in silence and stay alert. Ooh, powerful card there. In our Sacred Self-Care book, we have aromatherapy. The mantra is, I'm in touch with all my senses and find bliss in exploring them. Take time today to notice what you smell. Pay close attention to how different scents make you feel and what memories they trigger. Try going for a walk in nature and breathe in the fragrance of plants, trees, and the air. Tune in deeper to your sense of smell. Hello, Astra. What is your favorite scent from childhood and what does it remind you of? Yes, we're talking about smell and you're smelling the book. Yes, you are. What's Mama reading? Aromatherapy. Yeah. Okay, Animal Spirit Guidebook. And the animal here is the elephant. Unstoppable, auspicious, and wise. The elephant is arguably the most auspicious figure in the deck. Like Ganesh, the elephant represents immense wisdom as well as good fortune. It is said that the great elephant is the destroyer of obstacles, so if this is a card that appears and you feel stuck, rest assured the path will soon become clear. To add to the mystery, the elephant is also known to create obstacles in order to steer us in the right direction. Trust this gentle, noble creature. It illuminates the way with the light of self-knowledge. When in balance, one-point focus, generous, loving. When out of balance, misunderstands fate. To bring into balance, trust. So the elephant is, well, we'll come back to elephant because I love the elephant card. In our shaman, our mystical shaman oracle, number 41, the rainbow. The rainbow symbolizes the 7 steps of a true spiritual path, which manifests as colors of the 7 chakras. There's actually 9, but we'll get past that. In the Himalayas, the rainbow body is seen as the full realization of our essence. The rainbow also represents the bridge between physical and spiritual worlds. At the end of our lives, we can journey across the rainbow bridge to the highest heavenly realms. When the rainbow appears, it is an affirmation that all is well and that you are in the right relationship with spirit. The invitation of the rainbow tells you that at the end of the storm is near. Persevere and remember that it is the dark just before the dawn. Do not give up hope. Things are about to take a positive turn. Listen to the morning rooster that announces the coming of the dawn while the night is still darkest. But do not claim victory yet or let your guard down fully. The medicine of this card, don't get caught up in the pursuit of the illusion of the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Find the treasure now in the moment by coming into the right relationship with those around you. All your gifts are at hand. So obvious you may have missed them. Be true to your intentions. Do not be led astray by daydreams. Okay, so I'm gonna point this out. Look at this beautiful bird. There's a thing going around in many metaphysical communities about prosperity, prosperity, prosperity. You're not thinking about prosperity right. You're in a negative prosperity place. In psychology, there are some theories about if you grow up in poverty, you think like a person in poverty. If you grow up wealthy, you think like a person from wealth. And in energetic work, there's this idea that if you focus on one thing, you're going to bring that thing to you. Law of attraction. There's a lot of tangle, right? And a lot of things that are saying the same thing. And there are things that have also created this fear paradigm. And this is where I like to untangle stuff. So it is completely valid that if you're going paycheck to paycheck, like I am, I live that way, that there's this idea that somehow you're doing something wrong. And I grew up lower middle class-ish, and one of the things that I was told growing up was, if you just work hard, you'll be fine. You'll retire when you're 50 or 60 or whatever, right? There's this very interesting juxtaposition of, you go to college, you earn a degree, you work for 20 years and you retire, but then retirement age isn't until 60 something. But if you do the math and you graduate from college when you're 22, you should be retiring in your 40s, but that doesn't really happen. And there's this reality of how life is right now, that you can work for 40, 50 years and not have enough money to retire, because the cost of things have gone up, inflation is really high, and we have been at war literally since 2001 constantly. And prior to that, we had, in my lifetime, we had Desert Storm, and we had the Iran-Contra. We were contributing to war in South America. We were giving Chinook helicopters to Egypt. Our country has been embroiled in international conquesting wars my whole life. And that's a long time to be at war with the world. And that also means that the everyday person in our life, like to have enough money to buy food and to pay your bills and other things, we are affected by those choices that our government makes, right? Now, in theory, we live in a democracy. We vote for people who then represent us in Congress. That's not the way it's been working, though, especially in the last 50 years, especially since the 1980s. And it really started to go downhill a couple decades before that. Well, more than a couple decades. There's a wonderful book you should read that has to do with the history of the United States, and I'll totally put that in the comments for you. The elephant teaches us some amazing things, and I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. Focused, generous, loving represents immense wisdom and good fortune, okay? And, oh, you okay, Astra? Aromatherapy, and we have Mertziger, righteousness, she who loves silence. So I grew up with it too. There's this whole idea that politicians are all corrupt. Nobody wants you to go into politics because you'll become corrupt. And God forbid you actually want to change something. So there's a theme here, and I'm going to go back over it. So aromatherapy isn't necessarily using a whole bunch of essential oils. It's stopping and allowing the sense of the world to calm you, to tell you things, to bring you messages. Our smell, olfactory sense is connected in the brain. It's one of the closest things to memory. So sense will trigger the most powerful memories. The elephant is memory, it's wisdom. Mertziger is being aware of what could be dangerous, but also brings you wisdom in your life. And then the rainbow has to do with making sure that you persevere through struggles and not to get distracted. And where I was going with this is, there are very few people I have met that have a life theme of wealth. And having that life theme is not necessarily a great thing, because their life kind of falls apart with everything else. Having a lot of wealth doesn't necessarily mean it solves your problems. And when you live in a world of scarcity and you work 40, 50, 60 hours a week just to keep a roof over your head and food in the mouth of your children, it can feel very much like you're just part of this grind. And one of the things that has happened in the last couple years, and I see it everywhere, is that following your purpose means this buying into multi-level marketing, sales techniques, these conspiracy theories of prosperity, these theories of it goes sideways really quickly, and they prey on your fear. And I'm not saying all these people that have all these things out there are bad, but they too are caught up in this reel of what does prosperity look like. So I go paycheck to paycheck. We have stuff, but we also are not wealthy. We are at the bottom. We're at the bottom. You could say that we live in poverty in many ways, and we live paycheck to paycheck. We don't have a lot of things. And we have stress that comes with that. And one of the things that I've noticed is that when I really stepped into my power, which is change, I am a walking, talking catalyst to change. When I've leaned into it, the universe has very much helped me follow my blueprint with authenticity, and I've been okay. I am so blessed to have a magnificent partner. I'm so blessed to have wonderful friends. I'm so blessed to have connections in the community in different ways that I can step into my power. And these things mean that prosperity is doing my work. I'm working on a book. I am working on an online self-paced class. All of these things, actually I'm working on 2 of them, and all of these things have brought prosperity, peace, happiness. Do I still stress about money sometimes? Yeah, totally. Am I gonna let that consume me? Absolutely not. Do I have a wealth mentality that I'm gonna make millions? Probably not, because that's not the purpose of me being here. My purpose is to teach, to catalyze, to care, and to show people that you can do that. To be in my power does not necessarily, if I make $1 million next year, great. What am I going to do with it? I probably give a lot of it away, in a sense that I would create programs. I would be invested in the community in a different way, because wealth doesn't take away the burden of living life. There's a lot of people who they make a lot of money and they hoard it, and then it becomes this, I'm just going to consolidate my wealth because I'm terrified of being poor. And there are families that have made a lot of money and then they struggle with vast trauma, historical trauma things in their family that come up in their children. Their children don't cope very well with having all the things. When you think about your parents want you to have better than they have, that's great, but that also means the burden of healing that trauma falls on your kids if you're not willing to do it. Prosperity, having stuff, having money, having wealth, having a particular house, having a certain look, all of those things don't mean a whole lot if you're not willing to do the inner work and the trauma work for yourself and heal your family and heal your community. And that requires dedication. That requires honoring all those other people in your world. There are 9 physiologically different people in the world. And that means there are 9 different types of people, of how they look at the world. They have different internal shadow dialogues. They have different ways of looking at the world. They bring their own amazing superpower into the world, and they help us all reflect on that. And you're not going to necessarily have all 9 of those physiological people in your family unless you have a huge family. And even then, too many times we don't honor that when they're children and they grow up broken and not heard. And that creates generations of trauma, continuing the generational trauma. So the rainbow is a beautiful opportunity to remind you not to be caught in the illusion that to do aromatherapy, you have to have all the essential oils, you have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to move forward and recognize your place in the world. You have to watch out for all the evil people that are going to take all those things from you, the snake in the grass. No. Look at the wisdom that they bring into your life. Doesn't mean you don't have boundaries. Doesn't mean you give away all of your things, but it does mean recognizing what they are trying to teach you. And the wisdom of the elephant. And the elephant is wise and gracious and also puts obstacles in your path, not because the world's out to get you, but to teach you something. Everything has purpose. Everything is a lesson. There is joy in the lesson. There is joy in connection. And the rainbow is the bridge between the physical and the spiritual world, finding the treasure in the moment. So there was this amazing person I met a couple days ago, and she is a homeless person. She has been homeless for many years now. She's a little bit of like a wandering, you would say maybe in Europe, a caravan person. She and her family actually are descendants from caravan people from Europe, which means they're also descendants from India. You would not know that to look at her, but she knows her ancestry. She knows her history. She was amazing. And we had a wonderful cup of tea, and we had this amazing, I got her tea at the City Brew, and I sat on the lawn with her, and we had just this amazing discussion. And you would never have known that she was considered homeless. She was clean and dressed, and I could tell that she was not someone who really struggled with mental health issues or drug addiction. She was choosing a life of a nomad on purpose. And it was a wonderful conversation. And one of the things that I noticed when I was sitting talking to her is that the traffic that was going by and the energy and the judginess. And I've always enjoyed the feeling that you could pack the things you needed in your car and you could travel and see the world and live in this nomadic lifestyle. I've always loved that. And there's a huge trend. There's all kinds of people that are living a nomadic lifestyle in today's world. And it was such a joy to have that experience, and to also recognize that if I were to live a nomadic lifestyle, I would have to do it a little differently, because the way that she was choosing to do it is a different way that I would want to do it. And that is 100% okay. And you still have boundaries. You still can enjoy these experiences without looking at it and saying, I should do that too. This person's been drawn into my life and I should do exactly what they're doing. You can enjoy the experiences and honor the lesson, and also recognize that maybe that's not the direction that you want to go, or maybe it is the direction that you want to go, or maybe you're going to have to do it a little differently. I've actually wondered a couple times that our American culture didn't have, and has had over time, these nomadic communities that travel, and the Western idea that everybody who lives a nomadic life is homeless and destitute, mental health, has these awful things that have happened to them. And that's not necessarily true. But we also don't have a healthy relationship with people who think outside the box and choose different kinds of lifestyles. American culture is very judgy about that. If you don't live in a square box in a nuclear family, and if intergenerational homes are frowned upon, like, aren't you going to move away from your parents? And why would you take care of your parents, put them in a home? Like, there's very much this isolationist, separatist culture of isolating our elderly, and isolating from our parents, and isolating from our children, and that's devastating to family and healing and trauma healing. And we need to look at changing that culture in a healthier way. And I think the rainbow card brings us that awareness. Like, you don't have to do it in an unhealthy way. And when somebody is spouting to you these ideological ideas, really think about, is that going to break down the nature and the culture that is vital for human connection? And we need human connection. It's not healthy to just go after money, money, money and not have connection to family and the people around you and friends and community. And the irony that people are so anti-East or anti-India or anti-Europe or anti-Africa or anti-South American in America. And it makes me very sad, because these are cultures we need the influx of these family-based cultures in our life, especially in the Western world, because we have become so brokenly isolated and it's damaged, and we need to heal that as a culture. And as a world, we need to recognize that we belong to the world and the world belongs to us, and this separate us versus them has to stop. We have to heal that. So I hope you all have a beautiful day, and this is a banked video. My name is Red Moon Eagle, and thank you for watching.